Welcome to the Art of Money podcast with Art McPherson.
And thanks for checking out the Art of Money podcast. My name is Mark Owens alongside Art McPherson and Luke McCarty. All the information for the McPherson Financial Group, you can find it at theartofmoneyradio.com. Art, we talked about this a little bit last week that David Lee Roth is hanging it up. It comes just short of 1 year after bandmate Eddie Van Halen passed away, and I think he realized, well, life is short.
I am encouraged and compelled to really come to grips with how short, and probably my time is even shorter. My doctors, my handlers compel me to really address that every time I go on that stage, I endanger that future. And I'm throwing in the shoes. I'm retiring. Gave you all I had to give. It's been an amazing, great run. No regrets. I'll miss y'all. Stay frosty.
Stay frosty. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. He's going to finish up. They've got a residency out in Vegas, and they're going to finish it up through the end of the year. And by the way, Art McPherson, for only $900, you can get a VIP ticket to see one of David Lee Roth's final shows, and that includes a meet and greet and 2 drink tickets. For $900.
That's why he said stay frosty. It includes the drink tickets.
2 of them for $900.
That better be some good beer. So, Art, Luke, my question to you is, he's talking about he had to do a pretty quick retirement here. And he just said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm ready to shut it down. Well, tell me about some clients who have had to have that quick entry into retirement. How do you help?
Well, in our area in Brevard, we're getting it quite a bit. We've got a lot of our big corporate companies that work in the space race and aerospace and do a lot of defense spending. Because they are a contractor with the government, the mandate that Joe Biden has come out with through the government and said, hey, if you're a government employee, you have to get the vaccine or you're walking, has been applied to them. So a lot of our clients that were kind of looking at retiring within the next 5 years or in that retirement red zone are starting to have to make a real life personal decision that they didn't think they'd have to make. So retirement may be something they are having to consider a little bit earlier than later.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more traffic from those specific industries that Art was speaking to, just for people wanting to know, hey, what does it look like if I, don't want the vaccine for whatever reason, right? Mm-hmm. What if I don't get the vaccine? What if I lose my job? Can I retire? And that's something Art and I put together a plan. Sometimes, it depends, do you have a pension? How much money have you saved? And, can you retire? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes it's, well, maybe you should retire from that company, but maybe you need to do something part-time or, create some other income elsewhere. But that's a plan we will run for you if you're going through those issues.
Luke, can you give me a couple of pros and cons about a quick entry into retirement?
A couple pros, you don't have to go to work anymore.
Amen. There we go.
Every day is a Saturday. That's Luke's favorite line.
A couple cons is, it may be a quick decision that hasn't been thought out very well, right? If you retire before 65, what are you going to do for healthcare, right? If you retire before 62, what are you going to do for, income from what could be from Social Security at 62? So anytime there's a quick decision, you need to make sure you seek help, seek advice. Because there's a lot more that goes into it that you may not think about, right? Every day is a Saturday sounds great, but what are you doing for income, health care, a lot of other factors involved.
And unfortunately, one of the things we've been talking about all year, inflation is rearing its ugly head, and we're running at about a 5.4% inflation rate this year, and we've, in the last 20, ran about 2. So we're about 3 times the inflation rate at the moment than we've been the last 20 years. That can impact retirement income, retirement spending, and so forth like that. So hopefully this is because of COVID and we're going to have some short-term bumps and then it'll kind of settle back into our normal range. However, you never know. So, is this something that's a short-term situation or is this something that's more systemic and it's going to be with us for a while?
Yeah. And Art, I love that you mentioned inflation because we've talked about it in the past, shrinkflation. How the goods that we buy, the boxes are getting smaller, but the price remains the same. So we may not notice. Well, there's a new term out there, and it caught my eye, and it's called stagflation. So it's from the 70s. It's the perfect storm of a sluggish growth combined with soaring inflation, and it's resurfaced based on the price spikes from supply chain interruptions. So the Fed is downplaying the scenario, saying that conditions, they should moderate anytime next year. But talk to me about stagflation. Have you heard of this? Is it an overreaction or is it a serious threat?
Well, basically, Mark, stagflation is the economy goes into a very slow growth period. Japan went through this for about 20 years. And you have inflationary pressures, too. So now you've got a stagnant economy with inflationary pressures. So the value of your money begins to fall. So as an example, if we stay at 5%, if we have $100,000 in the bank right now, in 2 years, it's only going to feel like 90, and that's because you've lost that buying power, and that's a very rapid depreciation. So then all of a sudden, trucks that have been getting more expensive over a 10-year period, you kind of see it will get very expensive very quickly, and it's going to price people out of the market on certain things. So instead of being able to get your F-150 Lariat, you're going to have to get the F-150 base model.
Right. And Art, Luke, something else that continues to dominate the news cycle is the story about the IRS wanting to dig deeper into our finances. A Biden administration plan would allow the agency to monitor your checking account if it has at least $600. Now, they claim they want to detect those that are trying to hide income. But Consumer Bankers Association President Richard Hunt told CNBC that's a lopsided idea.
We understand the purpose of the goal here is to make sure that everybody pays the right amount of taxes. But what you're asking is low and moderate income people to turn over their financial data to try and catch millionaires and billionaires who are not paying their taxes. That's just a wrong-headed approach.
I got to be honest, it sounds pretty much a very extreme reach by the government. And I know you've got some calls from clients worried about this. So what are you telling people, and what are your thoughts?
I believe it feels like a very extreme reach. If they're targeting, what Joe Biden said when he initially came out with his tax plan, right, is that it's not going to impact anybody making under $400,000. Well, if you have $600 in your bank account, you could have made $1,000, right? You could have made 20. Right. Make up a number. So I think it is a reach. It's just too much government power. I hope it does not get passed and does not go through, because once you open that can of worms and they have access to our bank accounts, which they probably already do anyways, but maybe not publicly. It just opens up, what's next? Is the mileage tax on transportation, is that next? I've heard that's coming too, where they're going to monitor how much you travel, because that's how much you should pay for infrastructure. So once you start adding on things to the tax code and finding different ways to tax us, it's hard to revert those back, right? It takes another presidency, another 4-8 years, whatever it ends up being, to kind of reverse those. And I think we're going the wrong direction right now.
Yeah, and it's an invasion of our privacy, So you've got them diving into $600, and if they do that, what is the government going to find anyways? The average person in the country, if you look at the stats, about 87% of the country lives paycheck to paycheck. So they're going to see $600 and they're going to see $1. They're going to see $600. They're going to see $1. And there's nothing there to be seen. However, what they're trying to do, there's a lot of cash business that is out there. I remember seeing some of the stats during our real bad economic times where we went 08, 09, 10, 11, and 12, they said there was about a $2 trillion underground economy where it was a cash business. People were getting cash money in and not running through their corporations and things like that. I think that's what they're trying to go after. However, you're talking $2 trillion of a lot of people doing $50, $100 or something like that. There's not big dollars for them to find. So I think it'll be a lot of chasing after the wind, to be honest with you.
But I just assume that the IRS has been doing this all along. They've always had their hands in our accounts.
Well, right now, what it is the bank is required to send notification to the IRS if it's more than $6,000. So like if I put in $6,000 and another deposit of $4,000, that they just notify, hey, there's been large cash deposits, but not $600. So now you're asking the bank to send information to the government on a $600 deposit, and it just seems very, very minimal.
Right. And how much is that going to cost to monitor everybody's bank account? Right. So part of the plan is to give the IRS more money so they can come find more money in taxes. There's certain people out there who probably should pay more taxes and they're skirting the lines, I suppose. But when you go the $600 route and you have to pay for that, that's not going to be free. The banks are probably going to require some kickback to get some software going to. It's just a rabbit hole that is deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I agree with Luke. I think they'll spend more money than they'll receive on whatever their attempt is on that to try to catch people that are trying to evade the tax system or something like that. I think they'll spend more money just trying to monitor it than they'll get in tax revenue. So I think it's a very bad idea and a very bad program. Plus, it's an infringement on our rights.
Right.
The government is so big, and I love the quote that Ronald Reagan said when he was president. He said, you should be very afraid. The worst thing you can ever hear is the government's knocking at your door and they say, we are here to help.
Nope.
Exactly.
And I read an article that said that the IRS is looking to hire upwards of 50, 60,000 new employees as we move into the next year in 2022. So some way or another, they're going to put people to try to find more tax money.
But I thought everything was free.
I thought we had a money tree on Pennsylvania Avenue. Hey,
but you just proved our point. 50 or 60,000 new people that you're paying $100,000 or more a year to try to collect 50 cents on $600? I don't know. Whatever they think they're going to find. But I mean, it's kind of like going at it backwards.
Thanks for listening. Want more from Art McPherson of McPherson Financial Group? Find us online at artofmoneyradio.com.
We are an independent financial services firm helping individuals create retirement strategies using a variety of financial and insurance products to custom suit their needs and objectives. Securities offered through World Equity Group, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Investment advisory services offered through ProStatus Group, LLC. McPherson Financial Group and ProStatus Group, LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by World Equity Group, Inc. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Investment financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. Art McPherson is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Arthur McPherson. Florida Insurance License number A174. 725.
Today's show has been a work of art.